Okay, so usually when you're babysitting someone, you're supposed to usually stay at your own house as you're getting babysat. But this one babysitter I had decided to take things to a different length and decided to take me, well, to her house. And what happens at her house? Well, I think you guys may know, but let me tell the story instead. But before we do, make sure you guys press that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It seriously means a lot when you guys do. And a quick announcement, I'm going to be currently streaming on Twitch and also streaming to you guys live. So I guess join me live and watch me play games and tell stories live. Yeah, that's basically it. Anyways, other than that, let's just jump straight into this crazy story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to an embarrassing story. So this story all takes place back in my high school years, and funny enough, this was when I was actually in grade 11. So this was me turning 16 to 17. And when I was 16 turning to 17, I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't a well-behaved kid, and to be honest, my parents did not trust me whatsoever. The reason for this is because, well, I was known throughout my school for being a total F-boy and not really paying attention to school, because the only thing I would actually care about was smashing as many women as possible. You guys may know this from watching the channel and realizing, wow, this guy has a really high body count. And yes, when you have a body count of 143, it tends to be that way. But going on with the story, I remember basically back when I was in high school, my parents, like I said, did not trust me. So what usually ended up happening when they wanted to go on a trip was they would end up leaving me with a babysitter. Now, I remember one time I ended up going inside my kitchen one morning and I ended up basically getting ready for school and was ready to basically, you know, do what I had to do. It was a Friday, and I remember right as I walked into the kitchen though and started grabbing a cup of water, I ended up looking in the side of my eye and I saw my mom was on her laptop. Now, there are usually only two reasons why my mom would be on her laptop. The first reason would be to, you know, message my grandma on Facebook and see how life's going and check on updates on other people. And right as I looked in the corner of my eye, I saw that she was on this babysitter site where she would grab the most weirdest babysitters in my area. Now, I don't know what website this was, but if this video gets over 10,000 likes, I will try to find the website and hire a babysitter for me at this day and age. Yeah, a 22-year-old's gonna hire a babysitter. I don't know how this is gonna go, but like I said, 10,000 likes and we'll see if we can make it happen. Anyways, going on with the story, when I saw this, I remember I was in panic because obviously this weekend I had major plans to go hang out with my friends while my parents were gone. So I ended up walking up to my mom and I told her, Mom, what are you doing? Like, why are you looking for a babysitter? I don't need one. I'm gonna be busy this weekend. No, Bubba, you have to be home and focusing on school, so I'm going to hire a babysitter to make sure you focus on school. You're not going out at all this weekend. And me, obviously, I was really upset. I'm like, there's no way my weekend's gonna be ruined by a woman that's going to try to sit on me because, well, babysitter. Get it now? Okay, going on. My mom ended up telling me that I had no choice, and well, one thing led to another. I ended up basically going upstairs to my room really upset. But obviously I still had school, so I got my backpack and I went straight to school and I told my friends how basically I was not able to do anything this weekend whatsoever. And obviously my friends were really upset about that because apparently there was going to be a senior party where all the grade 12s and older cool kids would be hanging out at some person's house. Now, obviously me, I really want to go because this person that was hosting the party was some popular girl at our school that was way older than us, but she was really attractive and really hot. So obviously I wanted to go, but obviously knowing what I knew, I couldn't, and I was really upset until something insane happened. I remember when I got home from school that day, I was obviously really annoyed because, well, my friends were all gonna have a good weekend other than me. But as I got home, my parents packed up their bags, they got ready for their trip, and right as before they left, I remember a person knocked the door. Now, obviously this was the babysitter, so I ended up basically walking up to the door, opened the door, and I saw it was the popular girl from my school that was hosting the party. Now, at this point, I was really confused. I'm like, wait, she's gonna be with me this weekend, but she's also hosting a party? How is this even possible? And one thing led to another. I remember as my parents right away just leave the house, this girl ends up basically, like, you know, kind of ignoring me because she thought it was really dumb how I was a 16-year-old getting babysat. And she ended up calling all her friends and stuff and basically tried to plan out this party that she was having. I remember after, like, I want to say 17 phone calls with 17 different women because girls talk so much for some reason, I ended up walking up to her around dinner time and asked her, wait, so are you staying the night here? Because, like, I heard you're hosting a party literally tomorrow, and, like, I don't know, are you gonna, like, be staying here? Like, what's the plan with that? She ended up looking at me and saying, oh yeah, wait, were you invited to that party? A couple friends told me about it, yeah, but I mean, like, my parents want me to stay here and study. So you're telling me that instead of going to a damn party, you're gonna stay here and study like a loser? I don't want to get in trouble, you know, like, obviously I want to pass school. She ended up looking at me and saying, okay, well, we'll figure it out. I didn't know what this meant by we will figure it out because obviously her job was to babysit me and my job was to basically do my homework. But I want to say the next day came around. The next morning, she ended up waking up on my couch and walking up to my room. She said, I need to be for real with you. I need to make sure I host that party. This is the final year of my high school year and I want to make it count. So what do we got to do to make sure you don't tell your parents? I ended up looking at her and I said, well, to be honest, I want to go to the party. So if you invite me and I'm allowed to go, then I'll go. Okay, fine. You're invited. Well, there is another thing. Is it cool if, like, you know, my friends come? yeah, aren't they already going? Like, hello, it's an open invite party, dummy. Will you, you know, be my date to the party? She ends up looking at me super weird when I said that. And to be honest, I don't know what I was trying to pull there. To be honest, she was super hot and I thought I could, you know, I thought I should just spit some riz. So she ends up saying, sure, yeah, I don't see why not. You can come with me, I guess, and look like my date. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm in. But then I told her there was one other thing we had to make sure of. So in my house back in high school, we basically had security cameras placed around the house so I wouldn't host any parties. So basically, I remember me and her, we had to overdrive like basically a bunch of footage of us being around the house and doing house things. So we ended up basically recording a long like 40-minute video of just doing the same things over and over again, and we placed it on loop before we left for the party. I remember once I did that, I got dressed for the party and so did she, and this babysitter ended up taking me to her house where she was hosting this massive party. When we got there, I remember a lot of people were already at her doorstep just hanging out waiting, and there were so many girls that were at this party. And I remember me and her, we ended up partying all night at her place, and it was awesome because all my friends saw me come with her. Everyone was looking at me. To be honest, it was like I was the star of the show. And me and her, we ended up looking at each other thinking, wow, we really pulled this off, where I got my great weekend and she still gets paid for watching over me because technically speaking, she was still my babysitter. And one thing led to another. There was one moment at the party where me and her, we were totally wasted, which by the way, do not underage drink. I am just saying that because that was me in high school. Just don't do it. It's not cool. It doesn't make you any cooler than anyone else. And basically me and her, we ended up basically talking together, and we saw that me and her, we were pretty cool together. We make a great team. And well, what do most guys do with their woman teammates? Well, we ended up going to her bedroom and we did the devil's tango. I want to say this wasn't a shocker because, well, I was 16, she was, you know, 17 turning 18. Like, you know, like it made sense. We were both basically teenagers, and well, even though she was considered my babysitter, she was still hot. Like, hello, doesn't it make sense? And I remember me and her, we basically ended up doing that whole thing. We ended up doing the devil's tango. And it was funny because some of my friends ended up walking into the room as I'm middle of, you know, hitting it from the back, which was really awkward. And sorry to one of my buddies that saw that. I know you did not want to see my massive eggplant, but hey, it is what it is. And I want to say the next day, me and her, we woke up beside each other with absolutely nothing on, and we realized that, oh my goodness, my parents were gonna arrive at the house literally in less than 2 hours. So me and her, we ended up getting up and we ended up basically cleaning up the room as fast as we could. We ended up cleaning up the house that she lived in as fast as we could, and then we instantly drove in her car and got straight to my place. And basically we were still in a, like, you know, party clothes, but we didn't have enough time to change because my parents literally just pulled into the driveway as we entered the house. So I remember she ended up going to the bathroom and basically getting changed, and me, I ended up basically kind of like sitting in my room pretending I was playing video games in like really nice like party clothes. And my parents, when they came inside, they ended up going upstairs and saw me basically like with like stains on my like nice dress shirt, and like, well, I'm gonna just say this, they weren't fooled. They basically knew the video was on loop because my dad went to go check the security cameras right away, and me and her, we got in severe trouble. But at the end of the day, I mean, hey, even though she didn't get paid the full amount she was supposed to, I still did the devil's tango with my babysitter. So am I really losing there? I remember as I was in the shower, out of nowhere, I ended up seeing my babysitter walk into the bathroom, and she says to me, I'm gonna sit on the toilet and make sure you wash yourself right. And I'm staring at her with nothing on thinking, what is this babysitter doing? Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another really embarrassing story. So this story all takes place in my grade 9 year, and I'm not gonna lie, in grade 9, I was not a smart kid, nor was I a genius. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't like Jimmy Neutron, but one thing's for sure, I had my priorities straight. I had a certain way of living that I basically wanted for myself in grade 9, and yes, it was to focus on women and doing the devil's tango and study the arts of how to woo a woman. But not only that, another thing I really cared about was video games, and playing video games was my strong suit. To be honest, growing up, the only escape I had from this reality of, well, pain and misery, which sounds really depressing, but in reality it wasn't that bad, but my greatest escape was playing video games. And I remember in my grade 9 year, I would play video games up to like 8 to 12 hours a day. And to be honest, I was such a perfectionist back when I was younger that when I would play a video game, I would always try to 100% it. Like, have you guys ever seen someone 100% a video game? It is literally impossible sometimes, and it takes a lot of hours to get into. Actually, if you guys have ever 100%ed a video game, comment down below because I'm actually curious. But going on with the story, I remember one time in my grade 9 year, I was coming home from school and I was excited to just do my daily routine of just going into my room and playing video games. But then out of nowhere, I remember as I was walking through my front door, my mom ended up coming out. She came out with a luggage and she said to me, "Oh, Bubba, I'm gonna be leaving for a bit for a couple days to go visit your dad. So you're going to be home alone, but I hired a babysitter. I hope you're okay with that." At that moment, I didn't really care because I'm like, okay, just another babysitter. It's whatever. And I ended up basically going inside and not even saying bye to her since I was always upset since they always went on vacations. But at the same time, it is what it is. Going on though, I went straight into my room, sat down at my desk and started, you know, gaming and going on my computer and watching videos about how to beat this game that I got. And then out of nowhere, I ended up hearing a knock on the door. Now at this point, I knew it was the babysitter since no one else was home, and I went downstairs and opened the door for the babysitter. When I saw her, she was a cute girl with glasses, and she looked at me and said, "Oh, hey, you must be Bubba, right?" "Yeah, hi. How you doing?" "Oh, I'm good. This is your house, right?" Yeah, I don't know why I would be in it if it wasn't my house." She started giggling when I said that, and I remember instantly at that moment, she started walking around my house as if she was an inspector. She started walking around saying things like, "Oh, like, are the couches supposed to be in this angle? Oh, did you guys not do your towels today? Like, where are the towels in the kitchen? Oh, but can you show me where the tissues are and where everything's supposed to be properly?" And every time she would go into a different room, she had always something else to complain about. Now, when it comes to video games, I'm a perfectionist, but in real life, I didn't really care where things were, but this babysitter clearly did. And I'm not joking, the first 2 hours of her being in my house, she just kept moving things, and it even got to the point where she rearranged the living room to make sure that every couch was angled correctly towards the TV. I remember I found this super weird, and honestly, she started to remind me more and more of Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory, if Sheldon was a babysitter. But going on with the story, I remember I decided to basically leave her alone and let her do her own thing. I remember I went straight back upstairs, started playing my video game, and basically ignored her and did my own thing. But out of nowhere, as I'm playing my game, she ends up coming into my room, and she saw that my room was a mess. Now, don't get me wrong, yes, I didn't do my laundry, and yes, maybe I had a pair of dirty underwear in the corner of my room, okay? But at the same time, for a babysitter to just walk in without knocking and start rearranging everything is weird. Like, yeah, if it was my mom, sure, I wouldn't complain because it's my mom, right? But for a babysitter to do it, now that's a little out of pocket. She started basically going through my closet, reorganizing it, and on top of that, she started reorganizing basically everything. I remember I turned around and I ended up looking at her saying, "Yo, you know you don't have to do that, right? Like, it's none of your business for what happens in my room. Bubba, you need to organize your room. Like, seriously? Like, what are you, a pig?" When she made that comment, I remember I was super annoyed, and I just ended up turning around and ignoring her. And she just ended up shrugging her shoulders and getting back to work. Honestly, I didn't know what to say to this babysitter. I didn't know if I should yell at her, be mad at her, or even just tattletale on her. But at the same time, how am I going to complain to my mom that the babysitter was cleaning the house? Like, there's no way she would take that as a bad thing, right? And I want to say 10 minutes went by, and she ended up going downstairs to the kitchen and start making food. Now, usually when babysitters make me dinner, it's usually some grilled cheese sandwich or mac and cheese or something really simple to make that usually takes like, what, 10 minutes to cook? But this babysitter, she was a perfectionist, like I said earlier. So I remember when she said, "Bubba, it's time to come down for food. Hurry up, it's gonna get cold." I ended up pausing my video game, went downstairs, and I was expecting something small and nothing crazy. But when I actually sat down on my kitchen table, I am not joking, I saw a really nice pasta. It was like fettuccine alfredo with mushrooms. Like, she made an amazing dish. And I'm not joking, like, this thing looked like it was straight out of a restaurant. I didn't even know my mom had the ingredients to make something this insane in the kitchen. I remember I looked at her and I started eating the food, and I was amazed. Like, this babysitter can cook. So I ate her food and I finished it literally as fast as possible because I obviously wanted to go back to my video game, but at the same time, it was so good. And I looked at her and thanked her for the meal, and she said, "Oh, no problem. I'm happy you enjoyed it." And right as I turn around and start heading upstairs, I remember she looks at me and says, "Wait, are you just going to go back upstairs and play your dumb video game?" It's actually not a dumb video game, okay? It's a game that I actually enjoy. And second, yeah, I have nothing else to do. I finished all my homework. Well, I mean, you do kind of smell, so you could go take a shower. How about that? Okay, you know what? Sure, I'll go take a shower. I remember I ended up getting upstairs and I went to my bathroom and I ended up taking a shower. But I'm not joking. As I'm in the shower, washing my balls, out of nowhere, this babysitter ends up coming into the bathroom and she looks at me saying, "Oh, Bubba, here, let me sit on the toilet. Let me make sure you do this right." And I look at her thinking, what are you doing? She ends up sitting down and she starts reorganizing my bathroom as I'm literally in the bathroom taking a shower. And I'm just looking at her thinking, yo, like, is this normal for a babysitter to do? And that's not even the worst part, because after she finished reorganizing the bathroom, she ends up sitting back down on her toilet seat and she said, "Oh, make sure you wash your back. Here, do you want me to help you?" "No, I don't need your help." But by the time I said that, she ended up actually taking off her clothing and she ended up actually hopping into the shower with me just to wash my back. Like, bro, what in the world was going on? Obviously, one thing led to another, though. Since I saw her with nothing on in the shower with me, I ended up getting bricked. And well, one thing led to another. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. She noticed I was bricked and started giggling. No, me and her, we did not do the devil's tango. Obviously, because she was like in her 30s, I think, and I was only like, what, 14, turning 15 maybe? But I will say this, I did not know what to think or feel at that moment. I felt kind of violated, but at the same time, bricked up. I don't really know. But after the shower, I remember I ended up getting my towel on and I ran straight to my bedroom bedroom and I got my clothes on as fast as I could. I didn't know if I should tell my parents about what happened, but at the same time, are they really gonna believe me if I told them what happened? Because this babysitter literally cleaned the entire house and made everything perfect since she was a perfectionist. So I ended up deciding not to say anything and I sat back down on my PC and I started playing video games again. But as I was playing video games, I remember the babysitter ends up walking into my bedroom with a towel on and she looks at me saying, "Are you seriously gonna go back to playing that video game?" Okay, serious question. Have you ever actually played video games? Well, no, I don't see a reason for them. I feel like they're like a time waste. Well, for me, they aren't. And actually, to be honest, I think you might be good at video games. Have you ever thought of maybe trying it? At that moment, I remember she ended up sitting down beside me, and me and her, we actually ended up playing the video game that I was trying to beat 100%. And since this babysitter was a perfectionist, she ended up getting more addicted to the game than I was. And while one thing led to another, she ended up being my gaming partner and my babysitter. And me and her, we ended up playing video games till like 4 in the morning until the next day when out of nowhere, my parents ended up coming home. And me and this babysitter, we didn't realize we stayed up all night playing this game, but we did finish it 100%, so that was cool. As for my parents, well, they were upset that me and the babysitter stayed up all night playing video games, and well, that babysitter was never hired again. Honestly, don't get me wrong, I found it really weird that she watched me in the shower and stuff, but she was a cool gaming partner to hang out with. Okay, so I've talked about a ton of babysitters on this channel, but the one babysitter that I did not talk about probably caused the most chaos. And on top of that, she was really sus. So today's story is gonna be a really wild one, and honestly, if you guys haven't pressed that like button and subscribe, I highly advise you guys do it because it makes the channel grow and makes me realize how much I love you guys. Seriously, just click the subscribe button. You're dumb if you don't. But other than that, let's just jump into this insane story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba and welcome back to another insane video. So today's video all starts back when I was just a teenager. And what age? Well, I was 15. Now you guys are probably wondering, wait, you're 15 years old and you had a babysitter? Yes. And the reason for that is because I was a pretty naughty kid growing up. Like I would always go out and do the devil's tango. And well, let's just say that ended up getting me in trouble with my parents a lot of the time. So obviously, I remember one time my parents came up to me and they told me that they were going on vacation. My parents would always, you know, go out and have a good time and stuff, and we'll always went on vacation. Why? Well, because my family just loves each other so much to the point where they want to keep showing their love in other places. Kind of a weird flex, I know, but mom, dad, I love you and you love me, and you guys hopefully still do love me after this happened. Anyways, I remember when I was 15, I was basically kind of just hanging out, doing my own thing. You know, I would play video games, I would go out and meet women. But once again, my parents came up to me and said, "We're going on a little vacation. Don't worry where we're going. We left you with a babysitter. Is that okay?" And me, obviously, I was like, bruh, I'm 15. I don't need a babysitter. When I told my parents that, they obviously did not care. They're like, "No, you need to learn how to be responsible." I am responsible. "No, you're not. You keep hanging out with these women that make you cause very bad problems with yourself. Doing all these women will never do any good for you." Little do they know, I make money off literally telling these stories, so yay! I don't even know what to say there, but anyways, going on with the story. I remember from there, I was basically just trying to be like, you know, persistent on showing them that I was responsible enough. But obviously when the day came that they had to leave, they ended up telling me that the babysitter was coming at 5:30 and I was upset. Obviously I didn't know who the babysitter was, but I just went up to my room and decided not to say anything. I didn't care. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stay up here and just relax. Now this is the part of the story where things get a little interesting. Anyways, I remember the doorbell rang and I went downstairs and I ended up opening the front door. When I opened it, there was a girl that was there and she was wearing, well, something that an average babysitter wouldn't. The reason I say this is because most babysitters would wear clothes that make them comfortable and they can, you know, lounge around as the kid is doing whatever the hell they want to do. But this babysitter was wearing a full-on dress. She was wearing like this really black, sleek dress, and I was like, are you at the wrong house? "Oh, I'm the babysitter. I'm just here to take care of you." "What are you up to?" "I'm just upstairs playing video games." "Okay, are you the one that I'm taking care of? I was told there's only one kid." No, you're watching over me. My parents just don't trust me. It's a long story, but yeah, just come in. The living room's just there. You can just chill." She ends up walking in with her high heels on and ends up basically going to my living room and sitting down. Now, the whole time in my mind, I was thinking, why is this babysitter wearing a dress? This makes no sense. Is she trying to subdue me of all things? It wouldn't be the first time if you guys are the people that watch the channel regularly. I remember I ended up basically, like, you know, going in the kitchen, kind of like staring at her, wondering why she was wearing a dress. And to be honest, she was really attractive. And I remember as I kept staring at her, the babysitter obviously realized that I was watching her more than she was getting paid to watch me. So at this point, she ended up standing up and walking over to me saying, Bubba, right?" "Yeah, what's up? I'm just curious, is everything okay? You seem a little off. Honestly, like, are you sick? Am I sick? No, I'm not sick. Why? Honestly, I think you're getting a temperature. Here, let me feel. She ends up putting her hand on my forehead and says, honestly, yeah, I don't think you're feeling well. I'm pretty sure I'm fine. No, I gotta take you upstairs. She ends up grabbing me by the wrist and dragging me upstairs saying, you gotta follow me. And when we went upstairs to my room, she instantly ends up putting me in bed and makes me basically go to sleep. By the way, it was only like 7:30. So obviously I wasn't gonna go to bed. I'm a 15-year-old that likes to go out party and do the devil's tango. So obviously at that point, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna lay down. Maybe I deserve a nap. You know what I mean? So I end up laying down and I'm just laying down thinking this babysitter's up to something. It's kind of weird how, you know, she just wants me to go to bed so quick. But then after a while, I remember I ended up just getting up and just sitting down and playing my Xbox with my headset on. And with my headset, I ended up hearing weird noises. Not coming from the video game that I was playing, because obviously Call of Duty has like the same sounds over and over of bombs, you know, guns and shooting. This was a different sound. And this sound I actually recognized because it was my front door opening. When my front door opened, I was super weirded out and I was like, wait, is someone here? Is it my parents? So instantly I ended up basically getting out of my room and running straight to the front door. And when I went to the front door, I saw my babysitter already opened it for a guy. Now me, I was thinking, oh, maybe it's the pizza guy because he was holding a pizza. But no, he wasn't the pizza guy. He was my babysitter's boyfriend. What, you guys thought I was gonna get the devil's tango this video? No, she was, but with a different man. And obviously the only person allowed to do the devil's tango in this house was me and my parents, obviously, but you know what I mean. Going on though, I remember I was freaking out. I'm like, what are you doing here? And this guy ends up walking up to me saying, oh, it's okay, little man, don't worry, I'm just here to watch over your babysitter. Wait, so he's watching over my babysitter and the babysitter's watching over me? What is this? What? I remember I ended up panicking and I was so confused, and honestly it got to the point where I ran upstairs and I decided to go tell my mom. But obviously as I was walking up the stairs, the babysitter saw that I pulled out my phone and she said, no, wait, don't tell your parents, please don't tell your parents. Your parents don't know about this. Well, they're gonna find out. What do you mean? No, they're not. We're not gonna do anything. I promise. Just be cool for once. Be cool. Now, when someone challenges my coolness, obviously I decided to play cool. So what I ended up saying to her was, okay, well, like, just don't do anything weird, okay? Like, he can stay, but just don't be weird. They ended up both agreeing, and I went back up to my room and I ended up putting on my headset and playing video games. Niggas probably thought that was it, right? They ended up just, you know, hanging out and stuff. No, they were doing a little bit more than just hanging out, because I remember as I was playing my video games, like half an hour later, I ended up hearing the TV be on super loud. And I'm talking loud as if like we were in a movie theater loud. And at that point, I knew what that meant. I was 15. I'm not a dumb kid. Like nowadays, I'm not gonna lie to you, kids are smarter than the average person. Like we know when something sus is going on. Hell, that's probably why you're clicking on this video, because you guys understand the sus. So I remember basically I ended up getting off my headset. I ended up going downstairs and I'm like sneaking into, you know, my living room, seeing what's going on. And right at that moment, right as I turn the corner going into my living room, I see this girl getting absolutely ranched into her. And I'm like, what? And then instantly the guy looks at me saying, oh, and he ends up like doing the devil's creep right in front of me. That was the first time I saw another man's eggplant that wasn't my own. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was disgusted. I got so disgusted to the point where I ended up telling him to leave. I ended up basically taking a photo and saying, if he doesn't leave right now, I'm sending this to my parents. And instantly from there, he got up and ended up leaving. So you guys thought that was it, right? He left, problem solved. No, this is where the story gets, well, I guess more in my direction, I should say. Because from there, I remember he was like really upset, and the girl that was babysitting me was just stressing out. She didn't want to get ratted out. You know what? She didn't want me to be a snitch. And obviously, I wasn't going to be a snitch. So what I decided to do was tell her, I'm not going to tell my parents this, but like, you got to do something for me. She ends up saying like, oh, like, I can make you food. I can give you money. I ended up looking at her saying, do you really think I need that? And that's when she decided to go on her knees. And, you know, I would say the rest, but obviously, it's too sus and YouTube may demonetize this video, but I think you guys get where I was going with this. I ended up basically putting back my mark on the house where I was the only one that could do the devil's tango. And that's exactly what happened. It wasn't blackmail, I'm gonna say, because either way, I was never gonna show my parents. And obviously I deleted the photo right after I took it. I'm gonna be for real with you guys, but she didn't know that at the time, so it is what it is. Anyways, one thing led to another. She ended up basically, you know, telling me that, you know, my eggplant was bigger than her boyfriend's, and you know, it's just a bunch of stuff that doesn't need to be said. And all I'm gonna say is that this guy ended up having the most sussest babysitter become his sus babysitter, or I was the babysitter technically in that moment, but you know what, it's whatever. Anyways guys, that is basically it for today's amazing story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel, but just wait, before we actually end the video, join the Discord server. I have a Discord server that I want all of you guys to hang out in and tell me your crazy stories that I could maybe tell on this channel. So click in the description down below for it, and like I always say, fall for more embarrassing stories. Peace out guys.